Hi guys, so we're halfway through the final season of Dickinson and I've just caught up with episodes 4 and 5, so I wanted to share my thoughts on that with you. Aren't you a lucky person? No. Are you even a person? Who knows? I've already covered the first 3 episodes of season 3, so if you're interested in that, then you can go and find it. You know, it's about time you pulled your weight in this relationship. That's all I'm gonna say about that, you know. I'm so good at video introductions. They should give me an award. This catch up with Dickinson is slightly weird because I thought episode 4 was the worst episode so far this season, and I thought episode 5 was the best episode so far this season. So it's wildly different feelings coming from me. Yeah. It's like being on a date with someone you're really attracted to, but then they start talking and you're like, oh my god, I want to be anywhere else but here. I'm not speaking from personal experience, of course. Also, as a small disclaimer, my reviews of Dickinson are very much centered around Emily and Sue, so if you're wondering why I'm not addressing every single aspect of the show, it's because I'm just mainly interested in the lesbianism. However, I will be addressing that Walt Whitman impersonation. I don't see how I could avoid it, you know? My god, how could I ignore that? Okay, so episode 4, I'm kind of gonna gloss over this episode, and that's because A, there wasn't really any scenes with Emily and Sue together, and that's kind of the main reason that I watched this show, and B, I'm sorry, their version of Walt Whitman made me want to crawl out of my skin and die. I know that that was Emily's version of Walt Whitman and it wasn't supposed to be, you know, historically accurate. It was supposed to be her kind of idea of him, but Lord Jesus in heaven, no, I'm just no. However, the highlight of episode 4 is we did get Emily declaring her love for Sue from the rooftops. She shouted out her love for Sue and that just about made the episode okay. And ironically, we can thank the awful version of Walt Whitman for encouraging Emily to do that, so it redeems him this much, you know? Actually, another thing I liked about episode 4 was the close-up shots of all the vintage post and the postal service, and I don't know, that's a personal thing I appreciated that. Okay, so I do appreciate some other aspects of this show. I do. Okay, so moving on to episode 5, I actually thought that episode 5 was the best episode this season so far. Because of course there were more Emily and Sue scenes, but there was also some kind of real acting going on in this episode, and Hayley and Ella in particular are such talented actors, especially opposite each other. They just work really well together in a scene. So when there's a few scenes of Emily and Sue together in an episode, the episode tends to be a lot better. But it wasn't just the acting I enjoyed in this episode, it was also the pacing. The pacing was a vast improvement on previous episodes. So Keith Powell, who directed this episode, he did a good job. I also enjoyed the quilting in this episode. I don't know why. Maybe it's like the cottagecore lesbian inside of me. I did enjoy the quilting this episode. And I want that quilt that was made for the feminist baby. I do. I also love the scene where they were all sat around the piano and they were singing, you know, getting down and singing songs around the piano in the 1800s. It seems like fun. And by God, in that period, you know, you have to snatch fun where you can get it. Also, Emily and Sue have some real pipes on them. Both of them can really sing. You know, I love my singing wives. Please start a traveling band together, please. On the subject of Emily and Sue, you know, there's a really beautiful love confession from Emily this episode, and Emily says that she's Sue's wife, and it was just very touching. There is a lack of physical intimacy in this episode, but I believe that was due to the pandemic, so of course, you know, their safety comes first. And I think even without the physical intimacy, their scene was still very kind of touching. To be honest, I could watch Emily and Sue just talk about cereal and I'd still be very kind of engrossed in what was going on. I really do think it's to this show's detriment that they don't show as much of Emily and Sue together as they could. I get why they've kind of branched out and made this show about things beside Emily Dickinson herself, because it gives them more room to kind of spread their creative wings and explore new things. But really the most engaging thing about this show is it's Emily and Sue. It just is. And it's because Hayley and Ella work so well off of one another, and it's just so engaging to watch. Yeah, I know I'm repeating myself. I just wish the show would kind of utilize them more and focus on them more, and yeah, just give them more screen time. You know, that's all. Another great moment in episode 5 is when Sue thinks that Emily's father is talking about her and Emily raising the baby together, and it was just so wholesome and adorable, but of course that quickly gets shut down because Mr. Dickinson was talking about Sue and Austin. You can just see the change in expression on her face, and it's just heartbreaking, you know, especially because of the time period. There was just no room for Emily and Sue to really be a family. I mean, you know, lesbian couples could be together in the 1800s, but this was very much dependent on circumstance, especially things like wealth and class would have come into it. And just Emily and Sue's situation is just so heartbreaking, you know. I'm in my feelings, you know, I am always in my gay feelings. Okay, so obviously this episode ended on a bit of a sour note, with Sue kind of being quite angry at Emily, accusing Emily of being just like Austin. And Sue is upset because Emily has sent her poems out to somebody else other than Sue. And I'm a bit worried because this show can really suffer when Emily and Sue are kind of kept apart. I mean, I've said this over and over again, but Emily and Sue really are where this show kind of shines and lets its light out. I don't know if I'm being a bit over the top there, but you know. So I hope that they make it up sooner rather than later, you know, because they're the only thing helping me keep it together right now. Yeah. And it's bittersweet because I know once this season is finished, we're not going to see Hayley and Ella playing Emily and Sue anymore, and we're not going to have any more Emily and Sue content. So I just really hope that in the coming episodes, there's a lot more Emmy Sue content, because we need it, you know, we need it to tie us over until we die. Well, I do. Okay, I do. Okay guys, if you've been keeping up with this show, please let me know your thoughts on this season so far. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.